got any support from my father. Eventually, we were allotted $5 a month by a court, which was enough to cover our room and board at her parents' place. Many years later, when I was 14, my mother took my father to court again to plead for more money, which he said he didn't have and which we didn't get. I thought the judge was very unfair to my mom. It would take decades for the courts to have some sense about a single mother's needs. To find the earliest memory I have of being together with both of my parents, I have to go way back to when I'm about 3 or 4 years old. Now, I'm watching some movie with my mother in the balcony of the Dover Theater in the South Bronx. The story is some sort of melodrama for adults, of course, and my mother's totally transfixed. I know I'm watching something really meant for grown-ups, and I imagine that there's a certain thrill in that for me in being a little kid, at my mother's side, sharing this time with her. But I can't quite follow the plot of this movie, and my attention wanders. I look down from the balcony into the rows of seats below, right? And I see a man walking around there looking for something. He is wearing the dress uniform of an MP, the military police, which my father served in during World War II. He must have seemed familiar to me because I instinctively shouted out, "Dada!" My mother shushed me. I didn't understand why, of course. And how could she say shush? I didn't quite understand it. So I shouted for him again, "Dada!" And she kept whispering to me, "Shh, quiet, quiet," because he was looking for my mother. They were having problems, and she didn't want him to find her. But now she had been found. When the film was over, I remember walking on the dark street at night with my mother and father, and the marquee of the Dover Theater was receding behind us. Each parent held one of my hands as I walked between them. Out of my right eye, I see this holster on my father's waist with a huge gun pouring out of it with a pearl white handle. Years later, when I played a cop in the film Heat, my character carried a gun with a handle just like that. Even as a little child, I could understand. That's powerful. That's dangerous. And then my father was gone. He went off to the war and came back, but not to us. Later in life, when I was acting in my first Broadway show, my relatives from my father's side of the family came to see me. I don't know, I somehow got there. I was this young avant-garde actor who had spent most of his time in Greenwich Village and gradually worked his way onto Broadway. After the show was over, a couple of my aunts and a kid or two of theirs paid me a surprise visit in the hallway, backstage. I was surprised, who are these people? They looked like Italians, but they were my relatives. They started showering me with kisses, hugging me, congratulating me. What a performance. They were Pacinos, and though I knew them from making the occasional visit to my grandmother on my father's side, I was, somewhat bashful of them. I don't know. But as we made small talk, something came up in the conversation that struck me to the bone. They said something about the time that you were with us, kind of thing. I said, "The time I was with you? What do you mean? When I was with you?" They said, "Yeah, when you weren't with us, remember?" "Oh, yeah, Sonny boy, when you were hardly more than a baby, not quite a year and a half. Yeah, you lived with your grandma and your grandpa, your daddy's mother and father. Yeah." I said, "How long did I live there?" "So, about 8 months, maybe a year, nearly a year." Suddenly things started to come together in my head. I was taken away.